Most people do not struggle because they are lazy. They struggle because modern life is perfectly designed to steal attention. Every day begins with good intentions. We want to focus, do meaningful work, spend time with people we care about, and end the day feeling satisfied. But somewhere between the notifications, meetings, social feeds, emails, and constant demands, the day disappears. We stay busy, yet the things that matter most keep getting pushed aside. That is the core problem Make Time tries to solve. Knapp and Zeratsky argue that the real enemy is not simply poor discipline. The real enemy is a system. On one side, there is what they call the infinity pools, endless sources of entertainment and information like social media, news feeds, streaming platforms, and online browsing. These are designed to keep us scrolling, clicking, and consuming without a natural stopping point. On the other side, there is the busy bandwagon, the culture that celebrates packed calendars, instant replies, non-stop responsiveness, and the feeling that being overwhelmed means being important. When those two forces work together, attention gets fragmented. We wake up and react. We rush from one task to another. We spend our best mental energy on other people's priorities. Then at the end of the day, even if we worked hard, we often feel strangely empty. We may have done a lot, but we did not make time for what actually matters. The authors offer a different way to live. Their goal is not to help you become a machine or fit more into every minute. Their goal is to help you make time each day for something important. Not someday. Not after life gets less busy. Not after a better week. Today. That idea is powerful because it is realistic. Make Time does not promise a perfect schedule. It does not ask you to become a different person. Instead, it offers a flexible daily framework made of 4 simple ideas: highlight, laser, energize, and reflect. Together, these ideas help you take back control of your attention and put it toward something meaningful. The message is refreshing. Productivity is not just about output. It is about intention. A good day is not one where you checked every box. A good day is one where you protected time for what mattered and gave it real attention. That shift changes everything. Instead of asking, "How can I do more?" the book encourages a better question: how can I make time for what matters most? The first major idea in Make Time is the highlight. Every day, before the noise takes over, choose one thing that will make the day feel meaningful and satisfying. This is not necessarily the most urgent task. It is the task, activity, or experience that matters most for that day. The highlight can take different forms. Sometimes it is a work task, like finishing a presentation, writing a chapter, or solving an important problem. Sometimes it is a personal task, like going for a long walk, cooking dinner with family, or finally making time for exercise. Sometimes it is pure joy, like reading for an hour, visiting a friend, or doing something creative. What matters is that it is intentional. This is important because without a highlight, the day gets filled by default. Other people's priorities rush in. Small tasks expand to fill every gap. Email becomes the main event. The highlight changes the script. It gives the day a center. The authors suggest that your highlight should usually take about 60 to 90 minutes of focused attention. It should be significant enough to feel meaningful, but realistic enough that you can actually do it. If the target is too large, it becomes vague and intimidating. If it is too small, it does not feel satisfying. The highlight sits in the sweet spot between ambition and practicality. Choosing a highlight also trains your mind to think differently about time. Instead of measuring success by how many tasks you completed, you begin measuring success by whether you made room for what mattered. This reduces the guilt that comes from endless to-do lists. It also improves motivation because now there is a clear win available each day. A useful lesson here is that the highlight does not need to be perfect. Some days you will choose well. Some days your plan will be interrupted. Some days life will be messy. That is normal. The value is in repeatedly asking the question, what will make today feel worthwhile? This habit creates direction. It protects against drift. It turns days from random collections of reactions into experiences shaped by choice. Over time, that small decision adds up. One meaningful day does not change your life, but many meaningful days in a row can. For a YouTube audience, this is one of the most actionable ideas in the whole book. Before starting work, do not ask what needs attention. Ask what deserves attention. Pick one highlight, put it on your calendar, and defend it. That single habit can make you feel calmer, clearer, and more in control almost immediately. Once you choose a highlight, the next challenge is obvious: actually focusing on it. This is where the second principle comes in, and the authors call it laser. Laser means creating the conditions for deep attention. It is the skill of aiming your mental energy at one important thing without letting distractions pull you away. The problem is that distraction today is not accidental. It is engineered. Your phone, inbox, browser tabs, and apps all compete for your attention. Every buzz, badge, and alert offers a tiny hit of novelty. Even when you resist, the mere possibility of interruption weakens focus. You may sit at your desk intending to work, but your brain stays half open, waiting for the next message or temptation. Make Time argues that focus does not happen because of willpower alone. It happens because of design. If your environment is full of distractions, your attention will be scattered. If your environment is simple and protected, focus becomes easier. That is why the authors recommend strong, practical moves. Silence notifications. Log out of distracting apps. Move social media off your phone. Leave your phone in another room. Close unnecessary tabs. Use full screen mode. Work on paper when possible. Create friction between you and distraction. Make the bad habit less convenient. This matters because most distraction is impulsive, not deliberate. You do not decide to lose 20 minutes. You just check one thing, then another, and the highlight disappears. Laser mode breaks that chain by removing the triggers before they fire. The authors also encourage people to rethink responsiveness. Many of us act as if every email deserves an immediate answer. But instant responsiveness often destroys meaningful work. The truth is that much of what feels urgent is simply visible, not important. By protecting blocks of uninterrupted time, you give your mind the chance to think deeply and work at its best. There is another subtle lesson here. Focus is easier when the starting point is clear. If you sit down with a vague task like work on project, your brain resists. But if the next step is specific, like draft the first 3 paragraphs, outline the talking points, or edit scene 1, you can begin more easily. Clarity reduces friction. Laser is not about becoming unavailable forever. It is about creating islands of concentration inside a noisy world. Even one protected hour can dramatically improve the quality of your work and your sense of progress. When attention becomes whole, effort feels better. Work becomes less fragmented. Time slows down in the best way. The deeper message is that focus is not a personality trait. It is a setup. If you build your environment to support attention, you do not need heroic discipline every day. You simply make it easier to do the right thing. One of the smartest ideas in Make Time is the way it identifies the hidden forces shaping our behavior. The authors do not just tell you to focus more. They explain what you are up against. And 2 forces stand out: infinity pools and the busy bandwagon. Infinity pools are anything with no natural end. Social media feeds, breaking news, video platforms, forums, games, shopping sites, and endless web browsing all fall into this category. In the past, many activities had stopping points. A newspaper ended. A television program ended. A letter arrived and that was it. But now the content never stops. There is always one more scroll, one more clip, one more article, one more update. That endlessness matters because the human brain is drawn to novelty. We like new information. We like surprise. We like the possibility that the next thing might be useful, entertaining, or important. But the cost is that infinity pools quietly absorb our best hours. The busy bandwagon is the social side of the problem. It is the belief that a full schedule means a valuable life. It tells us to respond instantly, accept every meeting, and prove our dedication through constant activity. Under its influence, busyness becomes a badge of honor. But being busy is not the same as being effective, and it is definitely not the same as being fulfilled. Together, these forces create a trap. We consume endlessly when we are tired, and we stay overcommit when we are working. We end up reactive in both states. Even leisure becomes low quality because it is shallow and automatic. Even work becomes low quality because it is fragmented and rushed. The authors challenge us to question the defaults. Just because a technology is popular does not mean it deserves your attention. Just because a task lands in your inbox does not mean it deserves your best energy. Just because everyone else is overloaded does not mean overload is normal or wise. This is a powerful mindset shift. It moves the conversation from self-blame to awareness. When you realize the system is designed to pull you off course, you stop assuming that your struggle is just personal weakness. And once you see the trap clearly, you can start building defenses. For example, you can set office hours for communication instead of checking constantly. You can remove apps that trigger mindless use. You can stop carrying your phone everywhere. You can say no more often. You can create boundaries around when you consume information and when you create something meaningful. The goal is not to reject technology or ambition. The goal is to use them intentionally instead of being used by them. That is one of the book's strongest messages. The modern world is full of defaults, but you do not have to live by default. The third principle in Make Time is Energize, and this is where the book becomes more holistic. The authors point out that focus is not only a mental issue. It is also physical. Your brain depends on your body. If your energy is low, your attention will be weak. If your body is neglected, your focus will collapse much faster. This idea sounds obvious, but many people treat productivity as if it lives only in calendars and apps. They optimize schedules while ignoring sleep, movement, food, light, and rest. Then they wonder why their brain feels foggy. The authors suggest looking at human energy through an evolutionary lens. For most of human history, people moved regularly, spent time outdoors, got natural light, ate simpler food, and did not live in a constant flood of digital stimulation. Modern life has given us convenience, but it has also created a mismatch. We sit too much, stare at screens too long, sleep too little, and overload our minds. That is why Energize includes surprisingly simple actions. Walk more. Move your body throughout the day. Sleep enough. Get sunlight early when possible. Eat food that keeps your energy steady. Drink water. Take breaks before you are exhausted. Use caffeine carefully instead of automatically. Protect your mind from constant input. This section of the book is especially useful because it reminds us that attention is biological. You cannot expect sharp focus from a tired brain. You cannot expect patience from a body running on poor sleep and endless stimulation. Instead of blaming yourself for not concentrating, check your energy system first. The authors are not extreme about this. They do not demand a perfect diet or an athlete's routine. Their approach is practical. Small upgrades matter. A walk can reset your mind. Better sleep can transform your patience and clarity. A break from screens can restore mental space. These changes seem simple, but their effect on daily focus is huge. There is also an emotional benefit here. When your energy improves, work feels less heavy. You become more resilient. You are less likely to escape into distraction because your brain is not desperately looking for relief. In that sense, energy is not just fuel. It is protection. For content creators, students, entrepreneurs, and knowledge workers, this lesson is critical. The quality of your ideas is shaped by the state of your body. If you want better attention, start treating energy as a core part of productivity, not an optional extra. In a culture obsessed with hacks, this is a grounding reminder. Your best productivity tools may not be digital at all. They may be sleep, movement, quiet, and recovery. The fourth principle in Make Time is reflect. This is the part that turns the system from a set of tips into a real practice. Reflection means looking back at your day, noticing what worked, noticing what did not, and making small adjustments. The authors treat productivity like an experiment, not a rigid formula. That is important because no system works perfectly for every person in every season of life. Some people focus best in the morning. Others work better later. Some people need stronger boundaries with technology. Others need better energy habits. Reflection helps you discover your own patterns. At the end of the day, the question is simple. Did you make time for your highlight? Did you focus when it mattered? How was your energy? What pulled you off course? What helped? These questions create awareness, and awareness creates improvement. This mindset is much healthier than perfectionism. Instead of judging yourself harshly for a bad day, you become curious. Maybe the highlight was too ambitious. Maybe your phone stayed too close. Maybe you scheduled deep work at the wrong time. Maybe poor sleep made everything harder. Once you notice the pattern, you can change the setup. Reflection also helps you build confidence. When you see that certain habits consistently improve your day, you begin trusting yourself more. You stop relying only on motivation. You start relying on evidence from your own life. The book includes many tactics, but the deeper principle is this: test, observe, refine. Do not search for a perfect routine. Build one through repetition. What matters is not doing every tactic at once. What matters is trying a few, learning from them, and keeping what works. This is especially powerful because it removes pressure. You do not have to transform your whole life overnight. You just need to run better experiments. Try choosing a highlight for 5 days. Try moving your phone out of reach. Try going for a walk before work. Try shutting down social apps for a week. Then reflect honestly. Over time, these tiny experiments compound. You understand your energy better. You protect your attention better. You become more intentional. The result is not just higher output. It is a better relationship with your day. In many ways, reflect is the glue that holds the whole book together. It makes the system sustainable because it is adaptive. Life changes, workloads change, seasons change, and you change. Reflection keeps the practice alive by making it flexible and personal. One thing that makes Make Time stand out from many productivity books is its tone. The authors do not present a strict doctrine. They offer a toolbox. That difference matters. Many books make readers feel that there is one ideal routine and that success depends on following it perfectly. But real life is messy. Some days are structured. Some are chaotic. Some seasons demand intense work. Others require recovery or flexibility. A rigid system often breaks under real pressure. Knapp and Zeratsky take a more useful approach. They provide dozens of tactics across the 4 categories of highlight, laser, energize, and reflect. The goal is not to use all of them. The goal is to experiment and choose the ones that fit your life. This is a liberating idea because it encourages ownership. You are not trying to copy someone else's schedule. You are building your own operating system. That means what works for a parent may differ from what works for a student. What works for a creator may differ from what works for a manager. The principles stay the same, but the tactics can change. The toolbox approach also makes change feel lighter. You do not have to rebuild your entire life to benefit from the book. You can start with one tactic. Choose a highlight tomorrow. Turn off notifications today. Walk for 20 minutes this afternoon. Review your day tonight. Small actions are enough to begin. This matters for retention and long-term success because people rarely fail from lack of information. They fail from overwhelm. When advice becomes too complicated, it creates resistance. But when advice feels adaptable and humane, people are more likely to use it. Another strength of the toolbox idea is that it respects reality. There will be hard days, travel days, family days, deadline days, and distraction-heavy days. Instead of feeling like you failed the system, you can simply reach for a different tool. Maybe the perfect focus block is impossible today, but you can still choose a small highlight. Maybe your energy is low, but you can still take a short walk and protect your evening. This flexible mindset turns productivity into a supportive practice instead of a moral test. It says, use what helps, ignore what does not, and keep learning. That tone makes the book more sustainable and more believable. For viewers, this is a very attractive message. You do not need to become extreme to become intentional. You just need better tools and a willingness to use them. At its surface, Make Time is a productivity book. But underneath, it is really a book about attention and the kind of life you want to live. Its most important lesson is that time does not simply appear. It has to be claimed. The authors are not asking you to do more for the sake of doing more. They're asking you to notice where your days are going. Because your life is made of days, and your days are made of attention. Whatever regularly receives your attention slowly becomes your life. That is why the highlight matters so much. It is not just a task management trick. It is a declaration of value. It says this matters enough to protect. Laser matters because meaningful work needs real attention. Energize matters because a tired mind cannot live intentionally for long. Reflect matters because awareness is how change becomes real. Together, these ideas create a deeper philosophy. You do not need complete control of your schedule to live well. You do not need to defeat every distraction forever. You just need to stop living entirely by default. Even one reclaimed hour can change the character of a day. Enough reclaimed days can change the character of a life. This message is deeply relevant today. We live in an age of noise, speed, and constant stimulation. It is easy to feel that the answer is to become faster, sharper, and more connected than ever. But Make Time suggests the opposite. The answer may be to slow down enough to choose, to focus enough to finish something that matters, to rest enough to think clearly, to reflect enough to live deliberately. There is also a quiet sense of freedom in this book. It reminds us that being available to everything often means being present for nothing. But when you intentionally choose where your attention goes, you become more present, more creative, and often more peaceful. For anyone building a business, studying, raising a family, creating content, or simply trying to live with more clarity, this is a valuable framework. Start small. Choose one highlight. Protect it with focus. Support it with energy. Learn through reflection. Then repeat. In the end, Make Time offers a simple promise. You may never eliminate busyness completely. You may never escape distraction forever. But you can build days that feel more meaningful, more focused, and more truly yours. And that is not just productivity. That is a better way to live.